Good morning, or afternoon, depending on where you are. We are going to be working on finding equations of lines. Now this note sheet says part 2, but that's because I had a part 1 lesson. Just as a brief overview, we have 3 different forms of the equation of a line. We have standard form, which is represented with A, B, and C as your coefficients. They are non-fractions, so integers. The point-slope formula is what you use when you have one point and you know the slope. It's very easy to substitute into, and it is derived from the slope formula. And then the slope-intercept form of the line, which we are used to using, which has the slope and the y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is found from when x is equal to 0. So let's get into some specifics. We're going to move into a discussion of parallel and perpendicular lines, and we will begin that in just a minute. All right, a parallel line. Parallel lines go in the same direction at the same rate of change. Same rate of change means they have the same slope. All right, a perpendicular line not only is turned, its slope is the reciprocal, and so the perpendicular slope is a negative reciprocal. So for instance, if you have a line with a slope of 2, the negative reciprocal of a perpendicular line would be negative 1/2. So we are going to find the equations of lines in standard form that go through 5, 9 and are parallel and perpendicular to 5x minus 3y equals negative 8. What we learned before is that the slope of a line in standard form are the coefficients a and b divided and then taken the opposite of. So for a parallel line here, for this example, the slope, what we need is the slope out of this line. And we divide the 5 and the negative 3, take the opposite, and the slope is 5/3. So we're going to be finding the equations in standard form. We're going to get used to writing in standard form and eliminating fractions. And we're going to plug into point slope. As we discussed before, if you know a point and you know the slope, you're going to plug into point slope. It's very descriptive. So our point slope formula, we have y minus. Now what is the y value? That's 9. The problem gave that to us. And then we have 5/3, and then x minus 5. And we're going to eliminate our fraction by multiplying everything through by 3. Now multiplying by 3 over here doesn't affect inside the parentheses, just this fraction on the outside. So we'll have 3y minus 27. And then I'm going to distribute the 5 through the parentheses, 5x minus 25. And when we combine our terms, when we get the y over with the x, we'll have 5x minus 3y. We move the 25 over to the negative 27 equals negative 2. Now these lines are parallel. The reason we can tell is that the a and b coefficients are exactly the same. Now let's find the perpendicular. Now for the perpendicular, the slope is the negative reciprocal. So negative reciprocal. And the plug-in part right here is exactly the same except for the slope. So last time we eliminated our fraction, we multiplied by 3, but our denominator is now 5. And we're going to do the same exact process and do 5y minus 45. I'm going to distribute my negative 3. And I need to get my x and y together, so I'm going to add 3x to the left. And then I'm going to add 45 to the right side. Now, I can tell that these are perpendicular just by looking at them, because not only are the coefficients switched, but they now have a sign change, and that indicates to me that we have a perpendicular line. All right, now example 2 says find the equation of the line with an x-intercept of 4 and a y-intercept of -8. For people who are visual learners, sometimes it is a very good idea to do a little sketch, and so I'm going to do that. So x-intercept of 4 means it crosses at 4. I'm going to put a little dot at about its location. We don't have to be precise. And y-intercept of -8 is down here. Okay, so I see this is going to have an increasing slope. So the coordinate for this is 4, 0, and this one is 0, -8. But if we simply just count raise over run, we're going to end up with a slope of 2 because we go up 8 and to the right 4. So our slope is 2. Now, y-intercept of 8, this is a gift. Y-intercept of 8, that is our point that we were giving. So we can start with slope-intercept if we wish. So I'm going to plug in 2x minus 8, but this is not in standard form. If I wanted this in standard form, I would subtract the y over to the right, add 8 over, and you would end up with 2x minus y equals 8. Now, example number 3. Find the equation of the line which passes through 3, -1 with a slope of 2/3. Now, we have a point, we have a slope. That tells me which formula to use, point slope. So we're going to substitute in our point. So x1, y1 is -3, -1. And remember, when you subtract a negative, you have a sign change. Like this. Now what I wish to do is write this in standard form. I am going to multiply everything through by that 3 that is in my denominator. And then I'm going to distribute my 2 through the parentheses. So we can do this in the same step. Now because I want to get my x and y together, I'm going to subtract the y, 3y, over to that side. And then I'm going to subtract the 6 from 3, which will give me -3. Next, my question is asking to find a perpendicular line. Now I have conveniently put this equation in slope-intercept form, so I can identify the slope of this line as being 2, but my perpendicular slope, the one that I want to use for my equation, is -1/2. And I'm going to go back and plug this into my point slope formula. Y subtracts from y, x subtracts from x, and I'm going to begin by, I'm going to go up here, I'm going to begin by multiplying by 2. And then I'm going to distribute my -1 through my parentheses. We will gather our x's and y's together, so x plus 2y, and gather our numbers together. And that's the equation of our line in standard form. Let's do one more, and this one's going to be a parallel line. Now from standard form, remember our slope is -a over b. Now these x and y does not appear to have anything attached to it, but they're actually both 1. So my slope is going to be -1. So I'm going to use my point slope formula. If you have trouble memorizing, write it down. And let's substitute in what we know. So we're going to subtract the y from the y, put in my slope, and subtract the x from the x. Distribute your -1 And let's gather our x and y together. So we have x plus y equals 5. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope you learned something.